Hey, thanks so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to talking about this.
We do as well. And look, it's Maryland. I know a lot of squirrely things happen in the state of Maryland, especially when it comes to election integrity. But last time I checked, and I'm not great at geography, but Iowa and Maryland are not very close.
Yeah, no, exactly. So what happened is this guy came over and went to school in Maryland. I went to a university called Coppin State. So he moved to Maryland and he lived here for a while and he had a number of jobs in the state. But unfortunately, he registered to vote in Maryland. And really, it seems the policy in Maryland is that we're just going to trust illegal aliens to tell us the truth when they register to vote. And if they check a box that says, yep, I'm a United States citizen, that's all it takes in Maryland to register to vote. And since Maryland happily gives illegal aliens driver's licenses, they can show their driver's license, check a box that says they're a United States citizen, and boom, they're on the voter rolls. It's even worse with the motor voter program on top of that. That really compounds the problem.
So the President Trump has made a new tool available, the SAVE database. Texas used it, even though Texas has pretty tough voter integrity rules. They believe 2,700 illegal immigrants got in. They were able to find them because they were using the database as one of the first states to do that. Is that a good long-term solution? Do we need all states to eventually be using that database to catch those who try to cheat?
Yeah, 100%. Unfortunately, what's happening in Maryland is the director of the State Board of Elections is frustrating the efforts of the Trump administration to clean up the rolls. He refuses to share information with the Trump administration so that they can get illegal aliens off the voter rolls in Maryland. Look, it's clear what they're doing here. They want illegal aliens on the voter rolls in Maryland, so they vote for Democrats. That's why they make it so easy for them to register. That's why the State Board of Election explicitly refuses on numerous occasions now, after demand letters have come from the Department of Justice, to cooperate with the Department of Justice to ensure that only U.S. citizens, only people that are lawfully in the state of Maryland as U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in Maryland elections. Look, if I still lived in Maryland, I'd be pretty upset about this because only U.S. citizens and only Maryland residents should be voting in Maryland elections. But the Maryland Board of Elections seems to only want people that are going to vote for Democrats.
Yeah. Tom, there is, I suppose, a secondary issue here. The primary issue, obviously, is illegal immigrants voting in this country. But to me, you hear often, and we experience it here in California. My husband and I have lived in our house for 6 years, and we still get ballots for the people who lived here before us. And we know them, and we talk to them, and they also get ballots at their current home. So I know that states are the ones who administer elections. They're the ones who control it. They make the rules, all of that. But if we federally can say, all right, one ballot per person, we're the only ones who are printing these ballots, and the federal government then sends that out to the states still administer the election. Is that constitutionally copacetic, and is that maybe a small fix to what's happening?
It might be, but I think it's worth taking a step back and kind of walking through what's going on with Mr. Roberts here, because you bring up a really good point with these absentee ballots. So when we got the voter history for Mr. Roberts, we saw everything that happened with him with the Board of Elections. The one thing we found out is, obviously he was registered to vote. He wasn't in the country illegally, and we know he checked the box and said he was a U.S. citizen. But what's even worse is the state of Maryland and Prince George's County, where he lived, continued to send absentee ballots to his home after the guy moved to Iowa. So you've got this guy, he's illegal, shouldn't be on the ballot, doesn't live in the state anymore, and we're mailing absentee ballots to this guy. Maryland was incredibly lucky that there wasn't a rash of voter fraud with this individual voter. Now, I am confident that it happened with a number of other voters because it's a system without any security in place. They're mailing ballots to an empty home that somebody could have just filled out, scribbled, and then dropped in one of these drop boxes at the local library and voted illegally. So look, there needs to be some kind of reform in place. But when you look at Ian Roberts' voter history with Prince George's County, it's just absentee ballots after absentee ballot going out in the mail, going to this guy's home when he didn't live there. The fact that it wasn't, that there were no votes cast, that part's frankly shocking.